Hey everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and we're back with another review. And hey, we're doing something a little bit different today. And this is Legacy United Cybertron Universe Hot Shot. Um, Now, you might have caught over the years that Cybertron is my favorite of the Transformers series since I got back into collecting. Hard to believe it's almost 20 years old now. And I'm not alone. A lot of other adult collectors who got back into the hobby around that time, they identify Cybertron as their favorite series. Can't really put a finger on it. For me, the show was good, and some episodes were far better than they needed to be. And the toys, they were kind of awesome. For me, that was my real first experience with Armada, Energon, and Cybertron of having Transformers with knees, elbows, shoulders, and hips. Um, this is a great spoilers for the review, but this is a great update to the figure, and it's nice to see Hasbro subscribing to the old saying, "If it ain't broke, don't fix it." So let's get this in the box and take a closer look. All right, and we're starting off in vehicle mode. And I'm going to say this is the Hyper Pursuit mode. If you remember on the original toy, the Cyber Key would flip out the wings. And since I have the Cyber Key stored at the top here, I feel obligated to have the wings out. Now, nothing is spring loaded on this toy, so if you want, you can, of course, have the wings folded in for a more streamlined look. Um, I kind of like having the wings folded out to give it more of that hot rod look. Now, if you remember, we've taken a look at a Hot Shot toy previously, and that was from Armada. In fact, we looked at two, the original version, the Power Links version. And both of those were in a, well, the first one was in a yellow and red color scheme that I think leaned more towards Bumblebee, whereas the Power Links version was in a red and yellow scheme that I think leaned more towards Hot Shot. Excuse me, Hot Rod. Um, and you might be wondering, well, in Cybertron, Hot Shot here was blue with some very nice gold accents. I think the paint could have been done a little bit better because I think that's really supposed to be a more pronounced gold, but it's basically that gold color going over the blue plastic. So there is some bleed through and mixing, which is giving it, I don't know if you can tell, a very slight green tint. Well, the reason why Hotshot looks so different from its previous versions is the fact that while in the United States, Cybertron was part of the Unicron trilogy, in Japan, the Japanese version of the show, Galaxy Force, was a completely separate series and a new beginning. So there's that. Now, here is the Cyber Planet key. Obviously, much smaller than it was originally. We've seen a few of these now. This is done with the Speedia logo on it, even though Hotshot was a Cybertronian based on Earth. I guess because it was a race car, that was its power. And as you saw, it just slots in right back there. We also have a update to Hotshot's blaster. This is done all in one piece of that translucent orange plastic with the barrel painted silver. If you and this little section here, which on the original toy was the release for the spring-loaded missile. Obviously, it's not included. Kind of wish it was, but you do have a blast effect port there at the tip. Unfortunately, there's no way for the key to plug into the weapon, which I think would be kind of handy for storage and what have you. Now, just for ease of not losing parts, I'm going to leave the cyber key plugged in here in the back. You can leave it out. You can leave it aside. You can do the transformation all with the key attached or disattached. It's up to you. You can also, if you want, leave the weapon attached. But I'm just going to, just for like, because of my man hands, just going to leave it off to the side. And yes, the wheels are pinned in, so you do have some nice rolling action. Um, I'm going back by the original toy. This does have that chonk to it that I remember. And if you remember the transformation, it's basically the same. So let me do a little quick adjustment here just to make sure I have enough clearance to do all this. And to start the transformation, you can come into the front here and try to get a thumbnail or a fingernail in and unpop the windshield, bring it up ever so slightly, and then come around to the back here and untab the section here. This is where it is, so just reach around the back there. And now what you can do is come into the side and wiggle jiggle the arms free. And the windshield, excuse me, the side windows are attached to the arms. They don't fall down, they don't fall away. That is classic Cybertron hotshot. So I'm happy to see that included. Now for the big part here, grab the front of the car, untab it, bring it down to the side. It will soft friction into place. I would leave the arms angled out a little just to give you something a little easier to grab, something a little more solid. Next, what you want to do is come in here and flip up Hotshot's head. Now, for me, we'll take a closer look at the face in a second when we finish transformation. Now, what you want to do now is this whole back section, you want to angle up. It's on a double hinge in there, so make sure you get it flush like that. And then you're going to rotate this whole section around and then come into the back here. There's this little panel, and it's really hard to see. There are some nubbins in here that this is going to latch onto and sort of like tab onto, and that will hold the backpack in place as well as closing up that gap over the head. Um, Now coming back to the rear of the car, let's flip out what is the fin here and flip down the feet and then fold it back up. We're going to talk about the feet in just a second, and that's going to be after we split the legs. They do peg together very tightly. Now, in the original toy, it was just a telescoping gimmick, and I'm glad to see they didn't go that route because that does have a tendency to wear out over time. And we can just go ahead and bring the leg up. Now, as you notice here, there are two tabs on this panel. One goes into the slot there, and the other one goes into the slot on the joint uh, that the leg, that the knee is attached to. So that will double secure the leg. And whammo jammo, we've got Hotshot in its robot mode. Now, right off the bat, I do want to talk about the feet. I kind of looking at the bottom of the foot, it kind of looks like that the this toe section is supposed to like lock in somehow to what is really the heel. And it works, but it comes very loose very quickly. And if you try to apply more pressure to it, you actually end up popping that toe off the joint. So that's a little bit of a concern issue. Not major. And why we have it here, we got the cyber key plugged in. Just come up now and flip out those fins. That was the interesting thing about the cyber key gimmick. Sometimes it would launch a missile, sometimes it would like spring out a whole new section to the figure. And then on the deluxe figures like Hotshot, all it would do was bring up some fins. Now, unfortunately, the fins aren't as big as they were on the original toy. So they're kind of blocked by the shoulders, which is kind of accurate to the original toy, but they were a little more pronounced and they were a yellow plastic instead of red. Now we were going to talk about the head and really the head and face. I don't know. I think this crest is just a touch too big because it's causing a shadow to fall over the eyes right there. And it's kind of hard to see the face, which, for my taste, is a little too stoic for Hotshot. But then again, um, the previous versions of Hotshot, and even going back to the original toys, all had that stoic expression. You can hold the weapon here in the hand. You can peg it into the forearm if you like. which I think there was even a port on the forearm on the original toy. Or you can peg it in the back for storage. Um, Very nice. There is some movement here of the door panel that you can actually expose the fist more. Just keep in mind when you do that, you do run the risk of limiting the elbow joint. Now you now you might notice that the arms are just a touch too long. That is accurate to the original toy. So if you have a problem, I understand. And there is that outward shoulder movement. And then what I don't think was on the original toy, they added a swivel here to these front panels to give you a little more forward arm movement. Actually, that might have been there. What definitely wasn't there is this waist swivel. Also, as you can see, you can flare out that windshield to give yourself a little more clearance with the hand. Universal joint at the hip and a nice knee bend, almost goes over 90 degrees. So, oh, and if you didn't catch the head here, very nice. I would say very expressive ball joint. Now, let's not forget that this is not the first time we've had Hot Shot here in a modern Transformers line. One of the first Generation Selects figures was a repaint of Siege Hound with a new head as Galaxy Defense Hotshot. And yeah, less said about that guy, the better. Uh, but now, oh, okay, you're starting to see this that the figure has sometimes has a tendency to want to lean forward, and I think a lot of that has to do with like when the feet start pushing back. So just be aware of that. Now, obviously, this figure is really nostalgic only to people of a certain generation who either grew up with Cybertron, or for me, Cybertron was really the line where I fully became invested as a full-time Transformer collector. I came back, I bought most, if not all, of the figures from this line, uh, and was just really happy about it. I think I actually missed out on some of the Minicon 2 packs, um, but yeah, and Hotshot really was a fun figure to have and still is now. And like I said, they didn't reinvent the wheel. The transformation is very similar to the original toy. They just updated and they actually removed what I would consider the concern points of where you would have parts wearing down over time. I love this accordion joint, which I think we really first saw with Combiner Wars. Um, that I think really works for a leg transformation. So there's that. And really, before we go to my final thoughts, just one thing I want to do real quick. This is a 2024 deluxe figure, and this is a 2024 deluxe figure. Yeah. And before I get comments about parts count and all that stuff, I would argue, having spent ample time with both figures, the same number of parts, the same number of joints. And by the way, this Bumblebee, really good. This is actually now giving Legacy United Gears a run for its money as deluxe figure of the year. But just wanted to point that out. I've seen some people comment that maybe it's time for Hasbro to rejigger and rethink their size classes. And when I see figures like this that sell at the same price point and are supposed to be in the same class, I kind of I kind of have to agree with that. So just wanted to do that real quick. So how about we pause now and we come back and I give you my final thoughts. Coming in for this shot, I think you can see what I was talking about before about the crest there really covering the face. I mean, that's a whole shadow there. I can't remember the last time I saw something like that on the figure. Now, with all that being said, I think you can tell I really like Hot Shot. Taking nostalgia out of the equation. This is a good deluxe figure. After reviewing Sideburn, it was nice to have a figure that everything pegged together, it closed up nicely, things post in, it's articulated, there's weapon storage, and it's just fun. In fact, this is actually kind of reminding me of the old Legends class side hot shot, which, if you guys remember that one of the nice things was that it even had the folded out uh, fins there, which I think I've heard one of the designers say the fact that the fins aren't spring loaded can be seen as an homage to the Legends version. So that's kind of funny. I am curious to see what they're going to do with this. There is, of course, the repaint that in the United States was released as Excellion, which was Hotshot's Japanese name, which was which was like a straight up hot rod homage right there, much more than any of the other versions of the Hotshot repaints. So, yeah, I'd like to see that. I don't know. I know that this was used for the original Shattered Glass Bumblebee, the original Cybertron toy. I mean, so we could see that deco. This was actually, as a Legends figure, was released strictly in a yellow color scheme as Bumblebee. So there are some options. Um, I wouldn't mind seeing it all in black with some detailing too. As long as the quality of the mold holds up, I'd be down to buy at least one, maybe two more versions of this figure. But one thing I do have to say, I think Hasbro has to really be careful nowadays with just how many times they repaint and reuse a mold. So that's about it for the review. If you like this review, please like, comment, and subscribe. Well, I always appreciate the views, the likes, comments, and subscriptions do help with the algorithms and communicating to YouTube that my channel should be exalted and held upon high. That's extremely important nowadays where a lot of channels have stopped reading reviews as news articles and sharing them on their front pages, thus making it very hard for smaller channels like myself to get any type of coverage or eyes on them. Also, as I mentioned in a previous video, still around 85 to 87% of you watching this video right now probably are not subscribed to my channel. And that really does affect the algorithm in a negative way. So please subscribe. If there's something that you don't like, you don't have to watch it. But there's always that chance that you could miss out on something you do like. Um, Other than that, I do have a Patreon. It is www.patreon.com/chuckdog1999. All I ask for is $1 a month, $12 a year. No thrills, no tears, no special rewards. All you're doing is helping me help you to help me help you bring figures like this to you, as well as keeping up the infrastructure of the channel. But as I always say, if you can't swing the Patreon, your views are more than thanks enough. Patreon is just a cherry on top of an already generous Sunday. And let me tell you, for over the years, you guys have been very generous to me and supporting this channel, and I look forward to what we have going on in the future. Remember, it's the 40th anniversary of Transformers. There's some cool stuff coming now. It's July 1st. We're sort of, believe it or not, getting into the back end of the year already. So there's stuff coming then. And this party's going to keep going into like 2025, 2026. So, yeah. Oh, God, I feel old. Did I mention I had a birthday a couple weeks ago? Uh-huh. But yeah, that's about it. Once again, for Cybertron Universe Hotshot, this is your old pal Chuck. We will see you next time.